Good morning.
Can you lock the door?
I'm Tom the Mormon, compassionate, free-thinking Christian, anarchist, transhumanist, vegan, who's a lover of all life and the blockchain. Just running my daughter Alice over to McDonald's. And she's running a little late, so on her third day, she's running a few minutes late. But you can't tell kids to go to bed on time these days. Anyway, it's a beautiful day in sweet bird chirping Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. And I was just ranting to Alice, and I thought, well, I should be vlogging this. I went for a root canal last week. And the dentist told me, as he was doing the work, I got 3 out of the 4 roots in your tooth. Apparently there's a mystery root somewhere in there. And he said, I drilled as much as I could, but I couldn't find that 4th root. I thought, okay, well, it sounds to me like 3/4 of the pain at least will be gone if she's got 3 of the 4 roots completely annihilated. So I thought, that's great. And he goes, well, you know, tell you what. Now, I've already been for 2 regular dental appointments at my dentist here in Muskoka and once down in Aurelia. The first time was to get an appointment to look at the tooth. And I thought they were going to do the work. So I went in. And no, the first time was to get a filling. That's right. They called me and said, you need a filling. I didn't have any pain. They said, come on in, you need a filling. I said, okay. So I came in, they drilled, zzz, and apparently while they were drilling at the end, they said, we're going to put some mercury in your mouth. I said, mercury? No. I just spent tons of time getting all the mercury in my teeth out over the last couple of years. Don't start putting it back in now. Well, she went, the composite material may leak a bit, she said. I thought, leak? I didn't know it could leak. However, a dental term I wasn't familiar with. So, needless to say, I guess the tooth leaked, and I could feel quite a bit of pain in my tooth when I had cold or hot, immediately. Before I even left the chair. And I got about 5 paces out of the front door, and I thought, no, I gotta go back in. So I went back in and said, look, you gotta do something about this. This really hurts. And I went, ooh, I guess the nerve's exposed and blah, blah, blah. We can do a little something for it. Do you feel this with cold air? And they blew cold air on it and stuff, and she did a little song and dance and zipped around my tooth a little bit more. And when all was said and done, it still really hurt. However, I learned to adjust with the pain. I don't like taking any pain medications or any kind of drugs or chemicals, and tried to live with the pain. Eventually, I gave in and took the prescription and the referral for the root canal, and the prescription for the antibiotics and the pain medication, naproxen, I believe it was called, and tolerated the pain as much as I could before I would take any of those medications. And so that was the second appointment. I went back to see my dentist, who I thought was going to fix and do the root canal. They said, oh, you must need a root canal. So I come on back on Tuesday. So I waited the weekend and came back on Tuesday, all excited to get my root canal. And they went, well, we're going to have to refer you to this other dentist down in Aurelia. I said, well, what was I doing here today? Well, we were just assessing it again. I thought, oh, no, not again. So they assessed it, and I ended up going down to, I love you, honey. Okay. Good shot. Thanks. My lovely daughter, Alice. So I ended up taking the appointment and going down to Aurelia, and I was a little bit grumpy. I was like why did you guys call me in here? Just to look at the tooth again? And they went, well, we have to assess it. And so I said, well, how soon can you get me down there? And they're like, well, I don't know. They're probably very busy down there. So the big dental clinic in Aurelia, they had me on a several-day waiting period. And then I got down. I finally got an appointment to come down, fill out a whole bunch of paperwork, and have Dr. Ahmed, who's from India, I believe, have a good look at my teeth and to take some more x-rays, which they took in Muskoka. So he took the x-rays of the tooth, looked at it, and started to explain to me that we're not doing the root canal today. This is just an assessment. I'm like, I figured that. We need you to come back in about a week. And showed me the x-rays and explained to me how there's these 3 roots in this one mystery root, and we're going to try to get it. If we get it, it's going to be great. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to have to go to a specialist. I said, why a specialist? Because he said, we don't have the microscope here. Microscope. And the heavy-duty equipment. So it's going to cost you an extra $1,500, arm and a leg. And if the worst case scenario, you have to come back here and have the tooth pulled, it's going to be $2,300 to have a replacement tooth put back in. So $2,300. I'm thinking, oh geez. I'm thinking, okay, well, it sounds like the specialist would be the lesser of the two evils if I have to come back, if he doesn't, for some reason, do the job. Well, I says, aren't you worried? Are you worried about doing the job successfully? Have you not completed this job successfully? And he said, oh yeah, I've done these successfully before, but there's a chance. I mean, there's always a chance. There's some sort of 25% chance that you don't have a 4th root, that this mystery root is not going to be in your mouth. There's no mystery root. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I thought, let's hope I fall into that small category of the 25% of people that don't have the mystery 4th root in their tooth, in the second to last molar on the upper side of their mouth. So needless to say, he invited me back, a week later to come do the work. So I anxiously awaited. I took the antibiotics and then the naproxen and endured. I mean, it hurt to brush my teeth. It hurt to do everything. So I was, anything cold, every drink, any kind of drink of water, I would take it all, every meal. It was extremely painful. So finally the day comes. I get to get my root canal done last Tuesday. And he gets in there and drills them all out and shows me the pictures on the x-ray and says that's where the mystery root might be, but I didn't see anything in there. I couldn't find it. I drilled all that area. So it looks like we got everything. So we're going to put a temporary filling in now. I thought, a temporary filling? Why temporary? He said, well, so you can come back next week. I said, next week? Why? Why would I want to come back? He said, well, just in case, I didn't do something right, or you're still having pain and problems or blah, 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 because there's a chance, that mystery 4th root could be causing all kinds of grief. And if that is the case, he said, Dr. Ahmed said, I quote, but I won't be able to do any more drilling. I would have to, at that point, send you to a specialist. And I thought to myself, well, the alternative is to put a permanent filling in. I thought, a permanent filling, that sounds like a good idea. And I thought, well, if there's some pain or some problem and it just didn't work out and that mystery 4th root pops its head into my mouth and screaming into my life again and making my life miserably and dreadfully painful again, if that was the case, then I'd probably, at that point, consider going to the specialist. And who cares if it's a temporary or a permanent filling at that point? He's going to have to drill all the works out anyway to get in there with his microscope and get all the fine details out of that magical mystery fourth root in my tooth and get it out of there. I thought, but I could be one of those lucky people with no fourth root, fall into that tiny 25% that doesn't have a fourth root in their tooth, and Bob's your uncle. I would have a permanent filling. Everything would be grand. So rather than take the fourth trip to the dentist to have my tooth reassessed for the temporary filling, I had politely pleaded with Dr. Ahmed to go ahead with his original idea and fill it with a permanent filling, assuming you've done the job successfully and quite well in the Dr. Joe Phillips Medical Dental Clinic in Orillia, Ontario, Canada. And so he worked, he said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So he worked on the tooth, and he filled it, and he put more composite, and formed it, and filled it, like he was building the pyramids. And it was lovely. He did a great job, and built a beautiful, he told me to bite down, and rub around, and I did that a couple of times, not too hard, and okay. So, needless to say, it was all said and done. I toothed it. He says, is the freezing coming out? Yes. I don't know. I don't feel anything. So I assumed the freezing hadn't come out yet. So I anxiously waited I went home and said, hopefully I don't have to call. When I went to see Monica, the receptionist there, I said, hopefully I don't have to come back, but it's been lovely meeting you. She's a very lovely person. And so I anxiously waited. Am I the person with the fourth root mysteriously waiting to come and cause me excruciating pain? And will I have to go see a specialist or have my tooth pulled out and put a $2,300 replacement tooth in there, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? When all was said and done, I didn't have to spend any money. The good news was Dr. Ahmed did a wonderful job. My tooth turned out great. I can feel it right now. It's perfect with a white composite, no mercury in my mouth. And that is a relief. I took a course at MIT. It was a 3091 material science course with Dr. Donald. I can't even remember his last name. Isn't that funny? Early in the morning. Well, Dr. Donald taught the class that mercury is bad for our teeth, and if we have any mercury in our teeth, we should have it withdrawn dentally and have it extracted from our mouths, because it can leak into our bodies and our bloodstreams and cause us mercury poisoning, which is not a good thing. So, needless to say, I decided to have the work done and had it done with composite. Dr. Donald Sadoway. How could I forget his name? He was the most wonderful teacher I've ever seen in my life. At MIT, I took the course online, 3.091, material science. It was the most fantastic material science course I'd ever taken in my life. It was so exciting. He had a wonderful class, and he explained the history of everything. He went into full detail about every little subject, who got a Nobel Prize around it, how this came to be, and he really took you down the path. He'd play music and classical and the music of the era when these Nobel Prizes were given out for these great discoveries like X-rays and Rutherford's gold experiment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's a wonderful course. If you ever have the chance to go online and look up Dr. Donald Sadoway from MIT, the course is Material Science 3.091. I'm sure there's still several YouTube videos on the internet that have the various courses in the 2009, 2010, 2011, where Dr. Donald Sadoway was still teaching. I believe he's working on some great experiments now using lithium batteries and finding new ways to store energy. Electric cars are fantastic, but I guess the name of the game with electric cars is to find storage for the batteries. And Dr. Sadoway was instrumental in developing new technologies, which he's still working on right now, working with DARPA and places like that. So, I mean, DARPA, they've had some incredible inventions over the years, and that's where all the new stuff comes out. So keep your eyes open for some really good lithium batteries or some other magnesium batteries, which he went on a lot about in the class. However, I digress. Dr. Sadoway said to